for the opportunity.
Iya, halo.
Ya, silakan, Bung.
Halo. Ya, didengar ya, Bung?
Ya, ya, ya. Ya, lanjut.
Ya, ya. Ah, terima kasih dengan kesempatan yang diberikan kepada
Thank you for
saya.
the
Di sini saya
opportunity.
akan membicarakan
And
tentang
here
situasi
I will talk
yang
about this
sedang terjadi
situation
di Timor Leste,
that's currently
lebih-lebih
ongoing in Timor-Leste,
tentang deklarasi UNDROP yang telah ada.
especially
Nah,
related to the
sekarang ini
UNDROP
kita
declarations.
lagi kita
Currently,
sedang menjalankan beberapa pekerjaan atau
we are
perencanaan
conducting
yang kita
several
sudah lakukan
works
di
related
tahun ini
to
maupun yang akan
planning for
kita
this
lakukan di
year
tahun depan.
and also planning for
Untuk tahun
next
ini
year.
kita lebih fokus
For
ke
this
bagaimana
year, we
UNDROP
are
ini kita
focusing on how
kita
this
translate,
UNDROP can be
terjemahkan dalam bahasa kita.
translated to
Karena
our language.
menurut statistik itu sekitar ada
Because according to
43%
statistics,
jumlah penduduk yang ada
43% of populations
yang tidak bisa membaca dan menulis. Untuk itu kita
cannot read and
masih
write.
mentranslate ke bahasa
Therefore, we are still translating
lokal kita.
the UNDROP to our local language, which is
Nah,
Cat
kita ada tim khusus
language. And we
yang
have a special
yang
team
membuat translator dan
who
kawan-kawan
is
ini adalah
translating these
para
declarations.
pakar hukum yang mereka
And
berjuang dari
the teams are like
mereka
legal
berjuang untuk
expert, and they are
hak asasi petani dari
struggling, they are
sejak dulu
fighting
sampai sekarang.
for the rights of
Dan
peasants
secara tingkat ideologi
since long
kawan-kawan
time
ini sangat bagus.
ago. And in terms of ideology, they
Dan
are
jadi
really
untuk
good.
translation sudah habis, dan sekarang kita
And once the
memperbanyak
translation is
pendistribusikan
done,
kepada anggota-anggota
we
kita di
are planning to
tingkat basis.
distribute to our
Itu adalah
members
dan
at
kita juga
the base.
membuat
And the second, Helio is freezing. I cannot hear anything. I think because he's still on
Mungkin
the way.
bisa dimatikan jadi bisa
Maybe you
bagus
can
suaranya.
you
Halo,
can
Bung
switch
Helio.
off your video so you can have a better audio. Sorry, he's not audible.
Karena putus ya, Bung Helio ya.
Helio is disconnected.
Okay, please, Nafis, you can prepare the video message from Assembly
Nafis,
of the
maybe
Poor.
you can.
Then after 5 minutes, please share the document Assembly of the Poor, so I can read the document.
Apakah sudah terlihat, Pak?
Ya, sudah.
Sawadee-ค่ะ อาลิสลาขวัญเวียนจากสมาชาคนจนประเทศไทย วันนี้ต้องขอบคุณมากๆนะคะที่เชิญมาแสดงความคิดเห็น วันนี้เมื่อ 6 ปีก่อน
I'll read this in English. Mainstreaming. Good afternoon. My name is Arisara, and I represent Assembly of the Poor, Thailand. Thank you for inviting Assembly of the Poor to join the web to share our thought today. On December 17th, 6 years ago, we in La Via Campesina and friends in other peasant organizations from all over the world were very happy when we saw that the UN declarations on the right of peasants and other people working in rural areas was adopted in the UN General Assembly. Now it is already 6 years. And during this period, COVID-19 pandemic stopped us for 2 till 3 years to mainstream UNDROP. So public awareness of UNDROP is very little. Most of us still do not benefit from UNDROP. However, there is a small progress. That is, we have a working group to monitor UNDROP. Of course, there are lots of work ahead of us to do. The topic of webinar today is mainstreaming UNDROP in the public policy. This is important issue and I would like to speak of 3 points. Point 1, I would like to report the efforts of Assembly of the Poor to make the UNDROP known to public. Some of our works might be similar to the works of friends in other countries. Here are our works. First,
Silakan
disseminations.
nanti dokumen
AOP
Nafis.
translated UNDROP in Thai language and reproduced video clips on UNDROP to explain the background and details of each articles.
Yeah, please share screen the document of LP in English so I can read the important points of her speech. Nanti Bung Helio habis ini Bung Helio ya. Semoga Bung Helio dapat good access lagi.
So after we play this
Kurang besar,
video,
Nafis.
it will be Helio's turn, and hopefully you already
Terus
got
kurang besar.
better connections.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yes,
here is the document that I
this
read just now.
speaks from Arisara from Assembly of the Poor. So lanjut wis ke bawah. So I will read the points, 3 points of the her speak. Lanjut, Nafis. Yeah. First is these activities in AOP. So point 1 is I would like to report the effort of Assembly of the Poor to make the UNDROP known to public. Yeah, some of our work. This first is dissemination. First is dissemination. AOP translated UNDROP in Thai language. We produce video clips on UNDROP to explain the background and details of each article. So we made exhibition banners, we made booklet, peasant right. It's also part of the assembly, which is a part of the poor will write constitution booklet. Our aggregate school has a mini workshop curriculum on peasant right, and we use experiential methodology. We develop a board game on peasant right to show that learning on peasant right is not hard or serious. It can be fun and interesting. Second is right defending and documentation of right violation. So the core work of AOP is the struggle for land and agrarian resources. Lanjut, Nafis ke bawah number 3. Sorry. Ya, ke bawah, Nafis. AOP also organize mobile legal clinic and human rights training. Oh, stop. Training to make a peasant leader become human rights defenders for land and natural resources. After UNDROP was adopted, we try to make people know about peasant rights. So instead of calling our leader of human rights defender, we call peasant rights defenders. Number 3, and for dissemination is game campaign at policy level. Yeah. So yes, and then IOP also want peasant right to be a constitutional rights in the new constitution. We organize many rounds of dialogue with political sector. Every time we mention peasant right and UNDROP. Lanjut, point 2, ke bawah, Nafis. We think that one way to mainstream the peasant right is to see friends who are working on human rights and other rights. So that means IOP create a network, yeah, for struggle for UNDROP. Lanjut, Nafis, point 3 ke bawah. Ya, ke bawah terus. Yes. Okay. So then, stop. Yes. The last point, I would like to talk about international public policy, looking back to the time of COVID-19 pandemic. So we grassroots, the peasant, the rural people suffered the lockdown policy. We could only stay at home and not raise our voices. At that time, our Economic Forum encouraged the United Nations to organize UN Food System Summit. This is because the international transnational company, transnational corporates want to occupy the space of international public policy on food and agriculture and push us out of those spaces. At the time, we was only the photo campaign, not in our name. Yeah, so this part our struggle in 2022 when UN conducted UN Food System Summit. So next, lanjut, Nafis. Okay, I think we can stop that at least AOP and the process to write the constitution, yeah, new constitution containing the article of UNDROP. And lastly, they also push for the our UNDROP, especially Article 27, yeah, on the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. You know, it is COP Climate Change, and also COP CBD, I think. So I think that's all the speaks of IOP. We will share to you all next in the Zoom chat. Okay, thank you very much, Nafis, for sharing the document and also video from IOP in the Thai language. Now we go to continue with Bung Helio. Bung Helio, you are ready to continue? Udah nggak ada kan ya Bung Leo ya? Okay.
Halo?
Ya, baik, silakan Bung. Semoga dapat sinyal yang bagus. Ya.
Ya, internet kita bermasalah ya.
Ya.
Maaf, terima kasih untuk kesempatan yang kedua
I'm
kali.
sorry, I have a
Namun internet
connection
simulasi yang
issue.
bermasalah selama lagi. Nah, yang sekarang juga kita lagi membuat training
Now
untuk
we are creating a special group.
anggota kita yang mahasiswa level mereka yang
Our members
belajar tentang hukum.
to learn about legal. We have created the group for youth, for women, so they can get a knowledge. And this team will be able to explain why. Sorry, he's cracking, not audible. I'm sorry, cannot interpret. He's not audible.
Bung Helio ya.
It's not clear.
Oke, Bung Helio, mungkin
Maybe
halo Bung Helio. Suaranya tidak jelas Bung
sorry,
Helio.
Helio's
Mungkin
voice is not
Bung Helio
audible.
bisa cari tempat lagi, cari tempat akses yang bagus. Silakan jadi dulu, nanti dilanjut. Nah
Maybe
sekarang
you can find a better place so you
halo,
can get a
Bung Helio.
better connection.
Terhalang akses internet. So ya Bung Helio bisa kita stop ya.
So maybe
Lanjut nanti kalau
Helio,
Bung
maybe
Helio
we
sudah dapat
can
sinyal yang
stop
bagus.
for now. We can
Sekarang
resume
kita
later on
now we will
once you
continue for
get
the
better
last
connections.
speaker from Geneva. So Rafa from JTeam is our team in during the negotiation and drop and also on the resolution of UN working group. So please Rafa, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Zainal. Thank you, everybody. Very happy to be here with all of you for this important webinar. Very happy to see friendly faces. Zainal, Afghan, Anuka, Dayalaxmi, Henry, Joseph, Shalmali, many friends. Very good to see you all. So yeah, I'm Raffaele Morgantini. I'm the representative of CETIM at the United Nations in Geneva. CETIM has been supporting La Via Campesina in its struggle for the recognition of peasants' rights at the international level. From the beginning, we have been working hand in hand with Via Campesina at the UN, firstly to obtain opening a space to negotiate and to elaborate and to codify peasants' rights in international law. Then we accompanied Via Campesina in the negotiation process. And then after the adoption of the UNDROP in 2018, we have been working in this new phase of the process towards the promotion of UNDROP, implementation of UNDROP, and finally for the concrete realization of the provisions and of the articles that are enshrined in this historic document. Of course, as it was said here, October 2023 was a new step forward, a new victory for the international peasant movement, with the creation of this newly appointed working group on the UNDROP. A big victory, not only because now peasants and all the rights holders of the UNDROP benefit from a concrete international space where to specifically work to put pressure on public authorities, on UN bodies and mechanisms to work towards the promotion of UNDROP, but also because, as you know well, the experts of this working group are people that are close to our vision, to our horizon, are close to Via Campesina, and so we can really effectively work with this working group because we have there people and experts that are really ready to work towards the concrete realization of peasants' rights in the way that we have been conceiving this struggle. No? Of course, we have Shalmali for Asia Pacific, but we also have Genevieve, that she's from France, and she has been leading also the work of Via Campesina during the negotiation, especially for ECVC, and also the other experts, even if before they were not necessarily involved in the work with us for UNDROP. Now they had the chance to get to know our work, to get to know Via Campesina, and I have the feeling that this working group is really working in the right direction. But in order to make sure that this continues, I think that we really need to have an effective and a clear joint strategy to continue working at the international level. Of course, the main struggle to obtain the realization of peasants' rights must be done at the local, at the national level. This is already going forward because we have Via Campesina. We have Via Campesina very strong in many regions, in many countries, working also in alliances with other rural communities and rural movements, with academia, with civil society organizations. So we already know that precisely thanks to the strength, to the political force that Via Campesina constitutes in the different regions, in the different countries, the struggle for peasants' rights, for UNDROP is ongoing, locally and nationally. But as I said, we don't need to forget the international level. It's very important to work also at the international level, because the international level can feed local and national struggles. Now we have the working group. The working group can emit statements, recommendations to public authorities on how to better implement peasants' rights. And in this sense, the international system can really be helpful, instrumental in feeding national and local strategies and struggles. Maybe some concrete examples, as it was said also here in this webinar. The working group will have some specific tasks and faculties, right? And these specific tasks need to be followed by concrete actions and initiatives that we can take at the international level. When I say we, I mean mainly Via Campesina working in international forums, but articulating efforts with other groups, with civil society organizations, as CETIM is supporting here in Geneva, FIAN International, and others, right? So that we know that the main objective of the working group is, in general terms, to promote and disseminate UNDROP knowledge at all levels, right? So in this sense, I think that we need to accompany this task. We need to monitor, to support the working group's efforts to promote UNDROP. This means also to support and accompany the different events in which the working group is going to take part. And we also can think about encouraging the working group and the experts to participate in relevant events in accordance with their mandate. No? So, for example, today for this webinar, you invited Shalmali to represent the working group. Yesterday, we had an interesting event at the United Nations here in Geneva about the interlinkages between the work for peasants' rights, the advocacy for peasants' rights, and the work towards the creation of legal normative frameworks to regulate the activities of transnational corporations and human rights, right? So we are working in these other international processes that is willing to elaborate a legally binding instrument to regulate the activities of transnational corporations in international human rights law. Via Campesina has been also involved in this process, simply because we understand this process to stop corporate impunity, to regulate TNCs as a way to better protect peasants' rights, because TNCs, transnational corporations, are the main violators of peasants' rights. And so we organized an event yesterday here at the United Nations, and we invited the working group to be part of the event. And we had Shalmali's colleague, David Hakobian, who is the expert from the Eastern European region that participated in our working group, bringing his perspective and the working group perspectives about how these two processes, UNDROP and binding treaty on TNCs, can be interconnected.
Hello, Rafa. I think your internet is not good. You can put
regions and countries to identify those relevant spaces where we could invite the experts and working group to work in. So I think it's an important point. Another example, there was the COP in Bogota a few months ago on the Convention on Biological Diversity. Also there, the working group participated in that fora. It was the experts from Latin America, Carlos Duarte, that participated there. And his participation there was absolutely key in linking the issue of UNDROP with the issue of biodiversity and the importance to recognize peasants' contribution to the struggle to protect biodiversity. So, as you know, peasants' rights interconnect with many issues in human rights sphere, but also in trade, in financial. So, as you know better than me, peasants' right connects with everything. So it's relevant to think about and identify where the working group can be instrumental in promoting peasants' rights agenda into other international forums. Another key task of the working group will be to identify the obstacles to the implementation of UNDROP at all levels. In this sense, the working group will be able to conduct studies on different thematics, on different matters. These studies could be carried out by one or more experts, but of course they will need to consultate with each other, right? To choose which subjects to work on. So also here, I think that we can be proactive in working with the working group to encourage them to carry out studies on some priority issues for the peasants' rights agenda, and we can also support the working group with concrete inputs, with concrete wording proposals to feed these studies, right? So also here I would like to make a concrete example. The example is still on the issue of the regulation of transnational corporations. In October, we had a first exchange with the group, with a working group of experts about the importance of linking, right, the two processes. The process aiming at creating legal liability mechanism to control TNZ's activities and to stop human rights violations by these entities, and connect this with the UNDROP, as we said, no? So this was also a concrete way to constructually work with the working group and try to get to an understanding of the importance to work concretely on the issue of corporate impunity and corporate deregulation as a way to better protect the rights of peasants. Then we know that the working group will also have the possibility to do country visits, right? To investigate on priority urgent situations, produce mission reports with concrete recommendations for public authorities, etc., etc. They will have budget for, I think, Shalmali will correct me, but I think two visits per year. So it's also important that we make sure that the countries that the working group decides to visit, that we can be there at the time of the visits, that our people, our movements, the rights holders of UNDROP can be in loco and accompany the experts' visits, invite them to participate in relevant spaces, to discuss with them, public conference. So there are many possibilities, right, to engage proactively and constructively with the working group when they do country visits. Via Campesina is present in most of the countries, so it's very important to ensure that we can support the experts and the working group when they're visiting our countries. Maybe also another point that I would like to focus on is that from now on, what we have been discussing with Peasants' Rights Collective of Via Campesina is that Via Campesina organizations should now start processing the idea of preparing kind of national reports on the situation of peasants' rights, right? This is important because it can really feed the work, the reflections within the working group with concrete inputs and elements from the different localities and countries about the main challenges that are faced by peasants communities and rights holders in the different countries. And in that sense, we elaborated a sort of guide to support peasants' organizations in the elaboration of these national reports that could then be submitted to the working group as a concrete input, right? And in these national reports, we can explain a little bit the historical context in every region, in every country, in every locality, explain provide useful data about agriculture, life and working conditions in the rural areas, etc., etc. And we can also, and more importantly, identify the main violations, the main problems in the countries and in localities, but also the good practices, the good legal advancements, the legal gaps, the challenges in the territories, right? And also in that sense, I think it's important for the reflections and the work that the working group will conduct to conduct a legal watch about our national legal frameworks in every country, possibly, about the state of play of the national legal frameworks with regard to UNDROP, right? To see if local national frameworks are in conformity, if they are respecting the letter of UNDROP, if there are legal gaps, if there are laws on or public policies that contradicts the UNDROP. And in that sense, it's important, to identify these gaps, this problem, and advance and propose some concrete solutions to those legal problems. Send this solution, these concrete proposals to the working group that will be able maybe to reflect with us about those proposals, and then present concrete recommendations to public authorities in the better way to fill those gaps, right? So this is I think a fundamental task of the working group, which is a constructive task, right? It's not about denouncing situations, but more importantly, to work constructively with national authorities to fill those gaps and to be sure that national legal frameworks respect and reflect the content of UNDROP. I think this is an absolutely fundamental task that we need to work on. So I think that this guide for peasants organizations for the elaboration of national reports could be very, very instrumental. So we have this guide that was worked with Via Campesina, CETIM, FIAN, and that we could share now with all organizations in the different countries, so that you start maybe thinking about and working on possible national reports. For sure, I know that in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, in the Philippines, Sri Lanka, all of these countries, you already have that kind of information, all the data that is necessary to know about life and work in the rural areas. So I think it's just a matter of systematizing all the information that you already have, identify the legal gaps, the main legal gaps with regard to UNDROP, and then work on concrete submissions to the working group and see how the working group can work with us in constructively support national authorities to better protect and realize peasants' rights. So this was a little bit the contribution that I wanted to give here, and I'm open to comments and questions. And thank you very much again for the invitation.
Okay, thank you very much, Rafa, for the update and also the knowledge about the work of working group to add what already Salmali mentioned. Yes, I think we already have all speaker, but now we have time to quick and answer. But before Salmali out from this meeting, I have a question, Salmali, if you're still there, Salmali.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Salmali. So following what Rafa said, I would like to ask you, in the next year, we have Nileni COP30 in Brazil, and also in next February is ICAT.
Yes.
So I need your present in some our activity, and how we can link this thematic area to make you have the complete report, Salmali.
Yeah.
How
Okay.
how
So,
we can support you, and also you can support me, support us
yes.
on your
Yes.
UNDROP. Yes.
Right. Thank you, Zainal. So, okay. We already now, I think, have an idea of how the different rights holders organization, peasant organization, and fisher folk and others, and agricultural workers, etc., can work closely with us, in terms of providing inputs and information, etc., for the thematic reports and so on. So that, I think, Rafa already laid that out very well, and I already mentioned quite a few things in the beginning. One of the things that we have to, how shall I say, overcome are the procedures of the United Nations itself. So, for example, when there is an ongoing negotiation, we cannot intervene unless we are invited to intervene. So for us also as a working group, we are learning these protocol inside the United Nations. So for example, in the case of the legally binding instrument, we could join the side event. But because it's an ongoing negotiation, unless a member state invites us, a member state inside the instrument negotiation invites us to provide an expert comment, we cannot just say, oh, we want to make an expert comment. So all these kind of things we are learning. Now, I think if it's a question, say, for the Nileni, an invitation from IPC and the Global Steering Committee to the working group, asking for UNDROP working group representative to be there, would be very helpful, because it's a civil society event, Now, in the case of the COPs, there are 2 or 3 ways we could do it. One is that the civil society formations, the social movement formations invite UNDROP working group members. Another is that we will work with the special procedures on environment, on climate, on biodiversity, and see how we can make a delegation to the COP. Another is that we try to see if the government of that country that is hosting sends us an invitation. So there are 3 or 4 ways in which we have to try to make sure that the UNDROP working group members, some representative is present in an official capacity to be able to listen, to take inputs, and to bring inputs, of course, to the table. So I think this is a strategy that we need to discuss. Similarly, going back to what KLV was suggesting, it's very important. Now, in situations like that, there are 2 things that one could do. One is we, as the working group, take cognizance and say, oh, a crime is being committed somewhere, or human rights are being violated somewhere, and we become proactive to make a statement. That is a possibility. We can make a press release and so on. But otherwise, what would be more effective is if we receive a request from the group in the Philippines, or say the Fisher Folk group, or if the group in Indonesia that Afghan was showing, saying that this is happening to us, our rights are being violated in these ways, and we request the working group to take cognizance of this and take some action. So then that gives us the opening to ask for an investigation. And it gives us the opening to then approach the government and say, we are the working group, etc. And this is something that is happening. Now, there are broader, how shall I say, broader challenges. So for example, with trade and investment agreements. With trade and investment agreements, sometimes we know, because we have been working together on the trade, investment issues for so long, we know we can see the causality between a trade agreement and the rights of the violation of rights and hunger. But in this kind of a situation, what we could do is work with other special rapporteurs who have also looked at the trade issues. So, for example, the right to food, somebody working on the rights of migrants, and or with ILO, the rights of workers, and so on, and investigate particular institutions and say, okay, how human rights compliant is this institution? So, for example, I think in 2018, or I can't remember how many, 2015, the UN Special Rapporteur on Extreme Poverty and Human Rights did a study on the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund and said, okay, and his conclusion was that this institution is completely violating human rights. He said these are human rights free zones, which means that they don't follow human rights at all, etc. Those type of things. So we in the working group, we are also thinking, should we be examining institutions? And if so, which institutions should we do? The financial institutions, for example, who are creating debt and who are financing projects that are displacing rural people, indigenous people, all those kind of things. Should we investigate these kind of industrial tribunals? Should we investigate the WTO, for example? So I think these kinds of decisions we will only make after consultation with all of you. So the more dialogue I think we can have together, I think, and the more opportunities that we can have to meet, maybe even if we can do monthly meetings, that would be really good, like monthly online meetings, or if monthly meeting is too much, maybe once in every 2 months, or maybe move it by region, because of the time difference. So maybe 1 month Latin America, 1 month Asia. But I think it's very important for the working group to be in contact with the rights holders organizations. Otherwise, we will not know what is happening. There's so much happening in this world, no? So I hope that answers your questions, Zainal, and some of the questions that raised by the other groups.
Yes, thank you very much, Somali. Yes, I remember in February we have ICAR, and then in March 2026 we have WTO.
Yes.
So I think we have 1 year for conduct research, Salmali.
Yes, on those.
Okay, maybe we still have 15 minutes. Maybe from you all, if you ask to Salmali or Rafa, or share your situation in a country who not not become speaker. I saw the time there is a Pak Sopip, from Korea. I don't know it's happened because in the plan from Korean Peasant League will join, but I didn't see. Yes. Okay. I think if no other question, we can close this meeting. So then, many thanks for speaker, for Salmali, for Rafa, for Anuka, KLV, and also Bung Helio. I'm sorry with your access, and also for AOP. Or for the closing, maybe Bang Henry can give the closing remark, Bang Henry, link with what the next agenda of UN working group, in conduct research on the situation of patient and also holder, and also to have the second report of the UN working group. So please, Bang Henry. Ya, bisa memberi kata penutup, Bang Henry.
Can you give a closing remark, Bang Henry?
Ya, terima kasih.
Thank you.
Atas terselenggaranya acara.
Thank you for organizing
Ya,
this meeting.
Saya pikir sudah banyak progresnya.
I think we have made a lot of progress.
Kita di
And
masing-masing
of
nasional,
course, in
saya
each
pikir
country,
sangat menentukan ya bagaimana
it is
implementasi
very important for
dari
us to take action to ensure the
UNDROP
implementation
ini.
of
Kenapa saya katakan
UNDROP.
di nasional? Karena
Why
sesungguhnya juga
national level is
nanti
important?
yang
Because
katakanlah berkumpul di Jenepa sana itu adalah juga masing-masing wakil dari
in
negara kita.
Geneva, the
Karenanya,
representative from each
menurut
country
saya,
will come together,
kerja-kerja perjuangan kita untuk
and
mengimplementasikan
our
UNDROP
effort
di
to implement
nasional ini secara
UNDROP
tidak
at
langsung
national level
akan mempengaruhi
will
keputusan-keputusan
influence
UNDROP di
UNDROP
Jenepa sana.
decisions in
Ini
Geneva.
saya pikir yang memang menjadi sangat penting.
I think
Ya,
this is
dan
very important.
saya katakan juga, dulu pun kalau kita ingat ya betapa
Back in the
sebenarnya
past,
katakanlah deklarasi ini hadir ya karena sesungguhnya memang
why this
kuatnya kita
declaration
di
was
nasional
born
dan di
in the first place,
nasional
because
level adalah kerja-kerja kita mulai dari
it
tingkat nasional,
results from
mulai
our
katakanlah
great
di
effort at
Asia,
national
di
level,
Afrika,
from
ya,
Asia, from
sampai ke
Africa,
Amerika,
and
Amerika.
up until Latin
Saya pikir
America.
demikian dari saya.
I think that's all from me.
Selebihnya Mas Jenal bisa ya menyampaikan
Mas Zainal
rencana-rencana
can
kerja
share
kita
our
terkait dari
working plan
penyelenggaraan UNDROP
going
ini
forward
ya
regarding the
di nasional,
UNDROP
ya
at
tingkat
national
nasional
level,
maupun
international
regional.
level, as
Karena
well
kita
as
sudah
regional level.
ya menyelenggarakan misalnya di
We
level Asia
have
Tenggara, Asia Timur ini kemarin satu
at
kursus ya
Southeast Asian and
untuk
East
UNDROP
Asian
di
level,
bulan
we have conducted
November,
bulan Agustus.
a special
Agustus, ya, itu
training or workshop on
ternyata waktu
UNDROP
itu cepat sekali
in
habis,
August.
ya. Saya persilakan ke Mas Jenal.
So over to
ya,
you, Mr.
bagian
Zainal.
dari hasil kita kemarin maupun rencana
You can
kita di
share
Saya pikir
our
demikian dari
next
saya.
agenda
Terima
for
kasih.
next year. I think that's
Terus
all from me.
berjuang,
Thank you.
saudara
Keep
sekalian.
fighting, everyone.
Rafael, Jenepa, salam
Rafael,
pada teman-teman
Geneva,
di sana.
greetings to all of
Setting,
our friends
Ian,
there,
dan yang lainnya, pada Kak Salmali. Ini
and
merupakan
also
satu
to
era
Miss
baru menjadi
Salmali. This is a
diplomat
new era.
petani ya.
You are becoming a
Saya
peasant
pikir
diplomat.
perlu satu
So
suatu suasana baru memang bagi dia. Semoga bisa
this is a fresh air for us all.
kuat dan sehat.
Hopefully,
Terima kasih.
you can
Okay, thank you
fight
very much,
for
Bang
the
Henry.
interest of the
Yes,
peasant and
we
stay healthy.
refer
Thank
to
you.
to what somebody said regarding to collect new input. I think we will conduct regional consultation, yeah, also then to Asia level. So we can discuss with Salmali in making the national report. So then we can compile and for the regional continental report. So this part our plan continuing what we discussed in Bogor in last August. Yes, and that time and also we will conduct several consultation also linked with the our program to attend to conduct ICARP with FAO and also to influence COP30 in Brazil. Okay, that's all. Thank our meeting today, and thank you very much, especially for Fifi and Lydia for invitation. Also for Salmali and other member, Pak Sopi from Cambodia and Jaya Laksmi from Nepal, KLV from Paraguay, Philippines, and Rafa from SETIM, and also our leader from SPA. Thank you very much. La Viva la Peca Messina. Viva. Hidup petani.
Hidup.
Hidup.
Peasant,
Thank
thank you.
you. So I back to Mbak Rati. Yes.
Yes, oke. Terima kasih banyak untuk yang telah berhadir pada
Thank you
webinar
everyone
kita
for
kali ini
joining our
dalam
webinar
rangka
today
peringatan 6 tahun
on the
UNDROP.
6th
Semoga
anniversary
kita
of
dapat bertemu
UNDROP.
kembali
Hopefully we
di
can
lain
meet
webinar
again
dan di lain
in
channel.
another webinar
Terima
and
kasih
in
sekali lagi atas
another thematic.
kehadirannya.
Again, thank you so
Hidup
much
petani.
for your attendance. Long life
Terima kasih.
Passion. Thank you.
Makasih Pak Supip.